Hey guys, back with the second video of Ryan Judge's Other Climbers. I got a good one here today, and even though the title of this is Ryan Judge's Other Climbers, I try not to be judgmental, and I try not to really call people out on this one too much, but with this example, I am happy that everyone is okay. And in fact, it was kind of posted to YouTube without them even realizing anything could have been bad. So I guess, all's well that ends well, but I want to just sort of throw this one out there again. This isn't about me attacking anyone. This isn't about me trying to humiliate anyone. I have the original video in the description so that way you can watch and come to your own conclusions from it. But I'm just hoping that I can use these things that I found off of YouTube for a little bit of learning opportunity for everyone. Chances are the people who originally posted this video won't even see this. Before we get into the video, actually, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel and clicking the little bell icon, really helps me out with making these things and helps out the algorithm with passing these out. And also, if you want to support me even more, you can always become a patron of mine. I have the link in the description. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so I did cut up this video a little bit for, for formatting reasons. Stop right there. All right, so if you can see the video, which I'll have a nice little pause action right here just to describe everything, because there is a lot happening here. So I'll go through like the leader getting up to the anchor, and this video is all shot by people from the followers aspect. It seems like the two followers here don't have a whole lot of experience, especially in multi-pitch. I'm gonna guess this is their first multi-pitch. And so they have this like guy who's taking them up the route. He's most definitely not a guide. He's just a friend, which is great, get out with your friends. So I'm going to talk you through that person's setup. So the leader going up route is tied into two different ropes. They appear to be half ropes, and each person is tied to each end of the half rope. The leader climbs up to this anchor, and he would take a single length sling, do a magic X, and clove hitch himself to the center of the magic X, which is all well and good. And then when he belays his followers up, he's belaying them up one at a time, but he has both ends of the rope, which is actually not bad when you're working with beginners right there. We call it parapillar in guiding world. But the big issue is the belay technique he's using. So he's clipped into one bolt, belaying them off of the top right bolt right there. And if you can clearly see that the ATC is connected to the locking carabiner with the rope running through it, and that's it, really. So this is kind of a misconception that you have. It's kind of coming from if you learned in the old school style of redirecting the climber strand through an upper bolt and then down to your harness belaying off of that. And that used to be the way that we belayed back in even up to early 90s, but, way back in the day, like the 80s. And there are plenty of old school climbers that still belay that way. The problem is they've been seeing, maybe there was a misconnection. I don't really know. I'm not inside this guy's head. But at some point, he's made the connection of clipping the ATC to the anchor, possibly from observing someone with a guide-style device doing that. And he's like, oh, this is the new way to belay. So he clips his ATC to the anchor just like that. I've even had conversations with random people outside who have asked me about doing this, and we've had the whole deal. So this actually shows up here and there. So the only way that he could possibly break a fall with that setup is by holding the brake strand above the ATC to maintain some sort of braking plane. Now that could have been, you can make the argument, give him the benefit of the doubt, that was his plan all along. But I would argue with where he's positioned himself in accordance to the anchor, the ATC it's further than an arm reach above where he's sitting. So that means he'd have to like grab onto his anchor and lean up and then hold the rope in the correct position. And I would just say that pretty much he's not thinking about that. In his mind, this is a solid belay. And it also brings up other things like how thin the rope is, right? So if this is like an 8 mil half rope, it's going to be way harder to even possibly hold that with your hands than like a fat rope. Some of the old school guys that have asked me about doing this, and they say they've caught falls in this exact setting, they were definitely in slabby terrain with fat ropes. So I would argue that essentially this guy is free soloing up this route. Him and his friend are completely free soloing up this route right here. And all I can say is it's really great that they didn't fall. So let's see. Anything else that's worth bringing up? No, okay, not right now. Let's continue.
My ATC.
You got kind of things you can kind of stand on
And then clip into that?
Clip into that. Okay.
Cool, sounds good.
I also just want to say right here, no one's holding on to the brake strand, it looks like. Yeah, I don't think anyone's holding on to the brake strand anyway. So again, really nice that he did not fall.
Oops.
Daisy chain.
Safe.
So I'm going to take you off the way.
Here, hold up. Okay, so now you can see how the guy in charge got the dude filming to step over the anchor and climb up a few steps so that way he could clip himself to a bolt that just happens to be there. That's a bolt that you use right off the belay to, protect from a factor 2. And so now you also get the added deal of him not being clipped in redundantly. He's clipped into a single bolt, which, in all likelihood, that's totally strong enough. It's not really a big deal, but it is not best practice. One thing that's also really bad is the fact that he's clipped in with a daisy chain. This is, I'm not sure how he's attached with the daisy chain. I can't really see too well in this video how he's done it, but the big PSA with daisy chains is that each one of those little loops is only rated for 2 or 3 kilonewtons max, and it's not built with the intention of being a full personal tether. You want something like a link personal anchor system, or you could use the rope. Like that guy is clipped in with a clove hitch, so he knows how to do a clove hitch. Why not just use his rope, clove hitch to the bolt? But either way, so that's all not that good of a setup. You can also tell that by this setup with him using his locker from his ATC to hook in, these guys weren't really well prepped on what they need for the climb, and that's normal. This guy that's taking him up the route, he's not a guide, so I don't expect him to be giving him really good tools to be ready for this route, but it would be nice if he told the dude to bring a few extra lockers with him just in case. I'm a big fan of telling my clients to bring more lockers than they need, because sometimes things come up where they could actually use them and they're just locking carabiners.
You could be there all day.
Right there you can see his setup for the belay. You can see that he's too far away from the anchor to pull the rope above the ATC to actually cause any braking. And the rope looks really thin in his hands. He does have 2 hands on the rope. If the guy happened to slip, maybe he would catch him. Maybe they would get lucky. But yeah, this is all based on, just really hoping that the climber's not going to fall.
10?
If it was 10, we would be up here tonight.
Really?
Okay, you want to take her off the way?
We're back in action.
It's back in action now.
Back in action.
That was kind of like the cliffhanger in the middle of the episode.
Previously on Climbing the Chief.
Little more tension.
200 rope here.
Shit. Can you do that?
Tension. Climbing.
So I know I'm hammering this part home a lot about the ineffective belay, but right here in this still, you can see how much slack he has built up at his foot. One is like, if you're doing this sort of technique that he's doing, you shouldn't have any slack in the rope anyway, because it's so easy to pull rope through. But also, just like, in this circumstance, there is literally no hope of him even, of the belayer above even being able to hold a fall, because he's going to build up enough force in that little slip right there to, with that extra slack, that it's totally going to just rip the rope out of the dude's hands. He's going to get rope burn, and this climber right here is going to have to fall until he hits the clove hitch or the tie-in on the leader's harness above, which who knows exactly how long that could be. That could be like a 20-meter fall, or it could be longer. So it's just overall very scary situation.
Sorry, Tree.
So the top is right up here where that box line is apparently?
No way.
Yeah. And we're gonna go out to the left or right, we think.
One thing I do want to give this guy credit for, the guy who's leading the team, is he's actually doing a really good job placing his folks or setting them up at the anchor, which is kind of an interesting deal. Essentially, a lot of times he's stacking the two climbers together, and since he's in parallel rope technique, or since he's using the parallel rope technique, he can afford to have people offset like this. And you can do that in Caterpillar too, but it's just a bit more difficult. But he's having these climbers stacked one on top of each other rather than crowding into some of these tight belay stances, which is kind of hilarious because usually people don't think about that and they get maybe the belaying right. But this guy is actually like stacking his climbers for comfort in these belay stances, which is, it's just really interesting, you know, like he's not belaying them right, but he's like focusing on client comfort.
Where else are you gonna do this, man?
Well, there you have it. That's pretty much the end of the video. Yeah, I think I just sort of brought up everything that was not ideal in this situation. I'm happy that everyone in this party was, like, they didn't fall and they got up the climb safely. This is a good argument right here for if you don't know how to multi-pitch and you're not sure, then go with a guide. And it's tough because, like, I really like people getting out with their friends. So if you're climbing in a gym and you have a friend group and these people know how to climb outside, I think it's really great going out with them and they want to bring you up their first multi-pitch and stuff like that. But it's just be careful, you know, like I'm sure the guy who's leading this crew has a ton of experience, you know, he's been climbing for a really long time, I'll say that. And he has probably climbed this route a couple of times before. This is a really easy route out in Squamish. But while the route finding was fine and the belay stance management was actually quite good, I've seen worse belay stance management from real guides before, so that was very interesting. But you know, his systems really need to be updated and looked at well. And the guys that are filming, that are making this video, they just don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they're gonna die or get seriously injured if they were to fall. They don't know that they actually free soloed up this entire route by virtue of this belay section, or this belay selection, sorry. And so that's just the really scary part about it, and that's why I want to sort of make this series. I'm not judging anyone. I guess it sounds like I am judging, mainly because of the leader. If they're like, hey, I can take you out and it'll be great, I know everything what I'm doing, and they don't even know what they're doing. So it's just kind of sad, you know, like what could have happened. This could have been a two-person fatality on the apron of Squamish, and it's really scary, and it's completely preventable by just learning the proper techniques or just learning how to belay. I'm sure this guy knows how to belay. All these guys probably know how to belay, but he doesn't understand the systems well enough to know that he's providing absolutely zero security in this circumstance. So, I guess, yeah, the whole point was me trying not to judge people, and that sounded super judgy. So I apologize for that. I'm glad everyone's safe, and yeah, in the end, if you're, it's tough to know what you don't know, but if you are truly care about using right, updated, modern techniques, and you want to go multi-pitching for your first time, it's worth the $400 to go with a guide. And you know, it's like $400 for a guide, or I don't know, like $6,000 of a hospital bill. I guess these guys are in Canada, so you know it's probably cheaper to go with a hospital bill. But in America, I think it's worth the the money to go with a good certified guide. So thanks for watching this video with me. I sprayed on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but there's a lot to unpack with this video. So safe climbing out there, guys. Hope you're sending it, and yeah, stay tuned for more videos. So I'll see you in the next one.